And in 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RGVSports.com podcast. I am your host. My name is John LaFollette. I cover high school sports for the Monitor in McAllen, Texas, and for RGVSports.com for the world at large. And if you're listening to this, be it on the podcast app or on Periscope or the broadcast of this Periscope on YouTube or the Periscope app.
So many options.
So many options. Much options. Wow, nice. Anyways, thank you so much. However you found this podcast, thank you for coming to us and joining us. We greatly appreciate it. If you're listening to this, you already know what it is. It is the RGV Week 6 podcast for 6A teams. It's the second week of district competition. We saw a lot of things last week, but we're still a ways away from determining any kind of playoff seeding, so still plenty of things to go. Greg, how's your day been?
It's good, man. It's good. I'm glad to be here. I like this part of the week.
I like this part too.
Fun time.
I like this part too, especially because we have cake today.
Yeah.
Our Periscope watchers can see it, but for those of you at home listening on your on the podcast, we've got 2 pieces of cake here. It's got some white frosting with a little bit of red coloring. And it looks like it's a mixture of like white and chocolate cake.
Have you had any of this yet?
I haven't yet. But
Spoiler alert, it's great.
But these are the last 2 pieces. And we're going to say that this is for National Podcast Day because from what I understand, yesterday being the 30th. We're recording this past midnight, but our work day was the National Podcast Day.
Okay.
Normally, the cake is for someone at the Monitor here is leaving to take another job.
They can't make out the writing anymore.
Yeah, they can't make out the writing. There's last 2 pieces left. There's like only 5 people left in the building, so I snagged the last 2 pieces for Greg and I. And we're gonna, if you hear some mumbled garbling, it's just kind of just us chewing as we talk about Trevor Spates and the like.
Those 3 people who aren't us are gonna be pissed.
I do want to give a shout out to the cake makers because it's part white and part like it looks like chocolate cake, and so it's always good to have some.
Diversity.
It's good to have some diversity in your cake.
Absolutely.
It's good to have some diversity in your cake. Do we have any diversity in 36A in our interesting tidbits?
You know, it's funny you should say that because my notebook item today that led off the notebook was about Mission High, a team that was kind of an afterthought last year and is now sort of in the mix. So I guess there is a lot of diversity.
A lot of mixture.
A lot of diversity in the district now in terms of who could potentially make the playoffs. I'm excited to see Mission High tomorrow. I think that they're going to be, tomorrow being Friday, I guess, they're going to be pretty interesting to see because they outgained McAllen High by like 200 yards, 450 to 250 or something in that range, and really were ahead in that game going into the 4th quarter. They had a 26-14 lead, and then ended up the game slipped away from them. They had a couple of turnovers. They had a penalty that they actually didn't think was a penalty. They tried to find it on film and they couldn't.
Surprise!
Right, of course. But whatever the reasoning, they gave up 22 straight points to close out the game. And I'm still sort of interested to see because I didn't think they would even be in that position against a team like McAllen High. Now, part of that could be, well, McAllen High is not the team we thought they would be. But again, part of that is Mission looked good. They rely on their offensive line, and those guys have set up sort of a ground and pound attack. Quarterback William Arias has come through for them as well, and their defense has scored in every game and forced a ton of turnovers all year long. So I'm interested to see how they fare the rest of the season, especially just because they were not in the mix last year, and suddenly it looks wide open and like they could really make a move.
Right, it seemed like, because I remember way back before the beginning of the season, it seemed like you had your top 4 pretty much set in terms of the playoff seeding. Obviously, McAllen Memorial's still there. Mac High is still there. Even though they're not quite as strong as we'd hope they'd be, they're still probably the second best team in that district.
Yeah.
Palm Beach's come back down to earth, but they're still there. But it seems like you've got everyone but Juarez Lincoln that could conceivably make that 4 seed, it looks like. So as of right now, week 6, how do you just kind of see things playing out? I mean, I know you're going to be covering Mission Palmview.
Right.
I mean, how does that affect anything? I mean, how do you see Rowe or possibly La Jolla High affecting all this? Because it is week 6, but we still have 5 weeks left of the district play to go. So what do you just see? How do you see this playing out?
It's tough because, like we talked about last week, even Juarez Lincoln had a 19-0 lead on Rowe in that game, right? So even they've shown some flashes. And
they were leading PSA Memorial as well the first week of the season. So.
Right, and so it's hard to even count them out, and considering I don't know that they are substantially a step below any of these teams. La Jolla High hasn't looked great, and Juarez Lincoln hasn't looked great, so I would count those 2 out to begin with if I had to pick right now. And then it does come down to McAllen Memorial, McAllen Rowe, McAllen High, Pondview, and Mission. So obviously McAllen Memorial is a cut above. So now you got 4 teams for 3 spots.
And it seems like it's going to come down to, at least the way we're projecting it, Rowe versus Mission. When do those 2 teams play, do you know?
Those 2, I would have to look that one up. I can do that while we're talking. But I think, man, I'm not so sure that that Palmview is not, right there with them though at this point. I think I have to continue to give McAllen High the benefit of the doubt just based on talent, but Palmview, I'm not sure if I want to do that. And Mission and Rowe will play on October 22nd.
Okay, so we still got a ways to go.
Sort of the middle of the season for them. So yeah, again, I guess right now, Mission High would have to be considered the odd team out.
Okay.
But again, that's another thing that's interesting about tomorrow is they have a chance to knock off Palmview and
Right.
then be in playoff position, essentially only 2 weeks in.
Well, do you want to talk about that game now, or do you want to talk any other interesting tidbits you want to get to? Or
Well, we can talk about it now, and then I'll get back to the interesting tidbits later.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, I mean, you're going to be there on Friday covering this game. Mission, is it at Palmview or at Mission?
It's at Mission.
At Mission, at Tom Landry Stadium there. So what do you see? What do you think? I mean, everyone here on the monitor picked Palmview to win, except for you. You're really down on Palmview all of a sudden, but you seem like you think Mission's got a chance in this one. So what do you see playing out here?
We talked about the Westlaco against. I'm gonna forget now. Remember there was the game where it was Westlaco was the team that played defense, and the team they were playing was the team that doesn't play as much defense.
It was Donna.
Yes, and I said that I wanted to go with Westlaco because they're the defensive team. And I think that's sort of where I'm at with this matchup. Obviously, these teams I think are both a step below those two, or maybe 2 steps below those two. But at this point, I like Mission's defense, and Palmview's defense has been a question mark all year. Now, yeah, Palmview's offense is second in the district in yards per game, and Joel Pena, we talked about him a lot, has had a great season, 830 yards through 4 games. That's both great for them. But I think when they run into a defense like Mission, who has been statistically the best in the district, allowing less than 200 yards per game, they're going to be kind of up against their match a little bit as far as being able to run the ball with as much consistency as they have against a lot of these other teams.
Right.
Which is what we saw when they ran into Rio Grande City and when they ran into Roma, that they couldn't do the same kind of things that they could against PSJA Southwest. So, again, I think it's going to be a really close game because I'm still not 100% sold on Mission High's offense until I see it. I know that this McAllen High defense that they did some things against last week has still got a lot of stuff that they need to work out. So I'll know a lot more after I actually get to see them in person. But right now, I'm confident in Mission High's defense enough to think that they can pull out the win against Palmview and that they can kind of keep them under wraps just enough for their offense to come through.
Give us a score. Give the people a score.
I think in our capsules I put 18-16, something like that.
So low scoring and close.
It'll be really close.
Okay.
Right? Because the reason low scoring is because both of these teams want to run the ball. When I talked to Coach Mario Pena with Mission today, he mentioned to me that they want to follow kind of a similar formula to what Roma did against Palmview, which was that Roma, maintained control of the ball for long stretches and kept Palmview's offense off the field. So that's a thing that Mission is going to try to do, and if they can do it with a level of success, yeah, we will end up seeing a low-scoring game.
Let's get back to some interesting tidbits then. In terms of news from your notebook that's out on RGVSports.com and the Monitor on newsstands everywhere, or in your neighbor's mailbox and your mom and dad's coffee table. Anyways, what else do you got for us?
We talked about this a little bit in the recap show, but with McAllen Rowe, their trend of slow starts. And I went back and had a chance to look at it as we're here in the week, and they've been behind at halftime in all 4 of their games. At Calcelso, they were down 14-0. Mercedes, they were down 13-12. Laredo United, they were down 44-6, and that's the one where I said, well, that's not really like a halftime thing. That's just
just the whole game,
being outplayed, right? And then, but Juarez Lincoln 19-7. So I was trying to figure out if they have any sort of trends they've noticed of why they're falling behind early, or if it's the energy level that's not there, or if the game plan needs tweaking. But they said that there's nothing that they've been able to pinpoint. They haven't made a ton of adjustments at halftime of these games that have created a difference. They've just sort of come out and played better in the second halves. And to that point, they have outscored teams 95-40 in the second half this year, compared to clearly being outscored by a pretty substantial margin in the first half.
Right.
So, again, tough to pinpoint why, and I haven't seen them personally to be able to answer that question, but at least Coach Paul Reyes didn't have a good answer for me either. So that's something that's interesting for them. And the other thing that I touched on in the notebook this week was La Jolla Juarez Lincoln, the team that Rowe played last week. There's 2 sides to every story, right? For Rowe, it's about the slow starts. For Juarez Lincoln, it's about Rowe got back into this game because of some of their injuries. Now, after Juarez Lincoln was up 19-7, they lost their starting quarterback, their starting running back, a starting linebacker, and their starting center, all in the third quarter. Guys just went out one by one. And their backup quarterback was already out.
Oh,
with a
gosh.
concussion. So they had their third string quarterback in there. They could only run a very limited offense, Coach Tom Garcia was telling me. So that was probably a pretty big factor in why Rowe was able to get back into it. So, man, imagine if those kids were healthy. Maybe they could have won that game, and then the conversation we're having about who's looking outside for the playoffs is a little bit different. But
now for the all those injured guys, does Warriors Lincoln play this week or they have a bye?
And that's what I was just going to say. They have a bye now. So that's perfect timing for them on the bye week that they can kind of regroup, get everybody healthy, and if they have that potential to be in the playoff mix, they'll get a chance to show it, hopefully at full strength. And if not, they have an extra week to figure out, hey, this X guy is not going to be ready. Let's get Y backup ready to step in for him.
You mentioned Mission versus Palmview. Got your take on that. You didn't talk about Road. They host McAllen Memorial.
Have fun.
Yeah, it seems like, Trevor Spates is going to do Trevor Spates thing in that game. And then another game, just briefly, just give us your take on Mac High versus La Jolla High. Just a couple sentences, maybe a prediction on that one.
Well, we talked about McAllen High needing to sort some things out defensively and overall. La Jolla High would be the team to do it against. They've really struggled this year. They've been outscored 171-41 on the season, which is by far the worst in the district. So I don't know if they've run into some tough teams. They played Vela, they played Westlaco East, they played McAllen Memorial last week. So they've faced the hardest part of their schedule already.
Right.
And that's a factor in that, but if you're losing by that many points, there's clearly some things wrong with your team at the same time. So hopefully for McAllen High, this is a chance for them to get back on track against a team that they should be able to beat.
I just want it to be noted that I've consumed about 3/4 of my cake here, 4/5 of my cake here.
Yeah, so you're very sneaky about it. You're making good progress.
Yeah.
I doubt the listeners noticed.
Yeah, well, maybe the people on Periscope, but the podcast people.
Well, it would be hard for them to miss it.
Yeah. Either way, whoever got the cake, thanks. Props to whoever made it. It's
I
good.
hope they're listening, man. Cake people.
Shouts to the
if
cake
the cake people want to sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, this podcast is brought to you by the Cake People.
Right.
If you need a cake for your National Podcast Day celebrations, contact the Cake People.
I feel like you've taken a little break on trying to plug sponsors.
Go to thecakepeople.com and enter the promo code RGVSports to receive $10 off your first purchase. Anyways, anything else from 36 that you want to talk about, or are we ready to move on to 31-6?
Well, I think it's I was saying in the office when we were figuring out what kind of games we want to cover and what we think we need to look at this week, I think, and we just talked about how muddled the picture is, I think I'll have a lot more to say and have a better idea of who stands where after this week. I think especially that Palmview Mission game is going to tell me a lot about where people stand. So for now, I feel like I've said a lot of what I have to say.
Okay.
It could be cake time.
All right, then. It's cake time for Greg. So I will turn over hosting duties to you and asking duties over to you. Fire away, sir.
So your notebook this week, what kind of stuff did you touch on? Where do we start?
Well, the biggest news is coming from PSJA North and their quarterback, now ex-quarterback George Olivares. It was confirmed. He first said on Twitter that he was leaving the school. He was quitting the team, leaving the school, and going to Edinburgh Vela High School. That it's been reported. I talked to Coach George Pena at PSJA North. He confirmed it. And the reason, and this all happened on Monday. Coach Pena went to George and said, "We're going to make a change at quarterback. We're going to go with Darren Fuentes." And George said, "Okay." And then he, according to Coach Pena, he got a call from the counselor saying that George was going to leave the school. And so that's the way it is. Now, we don't know. I tried to get a hold of George. I couldn't reach out to him. We've tried to reach out to people from the Vela side to see if he's even trying to go there for athletic reasons. There are steps he has to take to get approved to play football for Vela, if indeed he's doing that. Now, again, we don't know if George is going to Vela for athletic reasons or personal reasons. And if he wants to go for athletic reasons, even if he'll be able to play. From what I understand, you cannot transfer simply for athletic reasons to go and play football. So who knows if we see George Olivares again on a football field this season. I did ask Coach Pena, if you have to sign off on anything, are you going to do that? He's like, yeah, whatever Vela needs me to do, I'll sign it. He's not going to try and get in the way of anything. But it seems like there's a process that George has to go through if he wants to play football or any other sport this year. And again, we couldn't reach out to the people who would know more about it than we do. But that is by far and away the most important tidbit for PSJA North. And George Olivares was huge for them. He was by far and away their best player, their best athlete. The PSJA North has gained more than 2,000 yards of offense so far in their first 5 games. And George Olivares, he's accounted for about 1,100 of those yards. He's accounted for a good bulk of those yards because he's he's an athlete. He's a dual threat. He can throw and he can run with the ball. So, who knows what this means for PSJA North?
Well, there's a couple things I got to follow up on here. The first one is this notion that he was going to be replaced by this other kid.
Right.
Like even before he left.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I feel like there's more to the story
Right.
here, because here's the timeline. 2 weeks ago, it was PSG North versus Mission Vets. George Olivares did not play the first half. He played the entire second half and almost brought back PSG North to beat Mission Vets. Now, from what I understand, I didn't cover that game. Mario Aguirre did, who covers 31-5A. He was there for Mission Vets, and what I understand, he asked Coach Pena about George's status then. Coach Pena said he had a hand issue and a back issue. And so the next, okay, fine, fair enough. There's nothing there, but it seems kind of weird, but whatever. Take the coach for his word. Week 2, I cover, last week I covered Weslaco versus PSJA North at PSG Stadium, and Weslaco wins easily, 56-7. George gets pulled halfway through the third quarter, but by then the game's out of reach. It's like 49-7. The game's over. But watching, we talked about this on the show. During that game, George just didn't seem like he was there.
Right.
He didn't seem like he was totally engaged, and I chalked it up to injuries because we'd been told that maybe he was hurt. And 2 days later, 2-3 days later, he's not on the team anymore. Right. I feel like there's something more going on here. Maybe he's not seeing eye to eye with the coach. You wrote a story a couple years.
I was gonna say.
You wrote a story last year about George, and
it was sort of his emergence / redemption story / whatever. Because the year before that,
when he was a sophomore,
the coach there was Steve Flores, and George Olivares was a varsity player. And he said he just didn't get along with the coach and didn't see eye to eye with him, and asked to be sent down to junior varsity and play at that level instead.
Right.
So,
and then last year was a huge coming out party for PSG North because they went 0-10 the year before under Flores.
Right.
He's gone. Coach Pena's brought in. They go to the playoffs and they get a signature win of beating Weslaco High, who would ultimately go on to be the district champion.
Right.
And I don't know what to make of PSG North now.
Again, sort of knowing nothing, this kid has a history of bumping heads with, head coaches and potentially doing things that could end up in a position where he's no longer starting and trying to be off the team.
Right.
So I have no idea what went on this year. It could be something totally innocent, but it does sound like there's something larger at play here because he played such a big role last year and so far this year, and what's going to be really their hope of getting back into this season.
Right, and their backup, I asked, what do you see in your backup? Because, Coach Pena said, hey, we think that Derek Fuentes fits the skill set better than George Olivares, which I don't buy.
Right.
I don't buy. Because if Derek Fuentes has better skill set, then why not make him a starter from the get-go?
Right.
Like you can't George Olivares, as I said, has accounted for more than half of the offensive yards of PSG North this season.
He hasn't really played bad, right?
No. And now they've lost 5 straight, and the only bad loss was Weslaco, 56-7. They got it handed to them. But the 4 losses before that,
well, they've lost 4 straight as of right now, right?
5. They're 1-5. Excuse me, 1-4. They're 1-4. So they lost 4 straight. Excuse me. So, they've lost to Los Fresnos, Brownsville Vets, and Weslaco and Mission Vets in no particular order.
Yeah, well, that's a fine.
That's good. And Weslaco was the only team they weren't in it.
Right.
Brownsville Vets, they were close in the first half. Second half, Brownsville Vets pulled away, but they only lost by 2 touchdowns to Los Fresnos. And what was the other one? Oh, Mission Vets. They only lost by a touchdown. They almost won it. I feel like if George Olivares plays the whole game, they win. I've said it before. Anyways, Darren Fuentes, he's only played 2 games and taken 4 snaps. He's completed 3 or 4 passing. It's I have no idea what to make of their offense now. And now I've said, this totally throws open the whole playoff picture in 31-6A. Because now you're looking at Weslaco and Weslaco East and Edinburgh North, and now it's like that, whoever the 4 seed is. Maybe it's Econ now. Maybe it's PSG Memorial. I don't know. Maybe it's still PSG North. Maybe they can figure some things out. But defensively, they're still going to be a sieve. They're still just going to be wide open. And then, in terms of offense, I don't know what they're going to look like without George Olivares. They're going to have to figure that out real quick.
Man, I think we talked about how this team is built. Coach Pena likes to take his best athlete and make him the quarterback and just run things through him and have that guy be the playmaker.
Right. Yeah, which makes sense.
And that's in terms of totally irreplaceable players in your district, then that guy becomes one of the top of all the teams, right?
Right, yeah. George Olivares is probably one of the 3 or 4 best players in that whole district.
Right. And I'm not even talking about just talent. I just mean in terms of being integral to the offense. Whereas if a Weslaco
everything runs through
or a Economides loses a guy, they have 9 other guys they give the ball to.
Right.
This is a situation where this is the guy.
This is the guy. It's imagine Trevor Spates just quitting up on Memorial, and then what's Memorial going to do? Not to say that Olivares and Spates are the same caliber. You get the point. So. Yeah, like I said, I have no idea what to make of PSG North now. We're going to find out. We're going to get at least an inkling of what they're going to try and do against Edinburgh North. Now, I asked, Coach Pena, does with the change, does your X's and O's change? He said no, they're going to still run the same spread offense.
Yeah,
they're still going to try and push
system,
the
I
pace.
think, just sort of is what it is.
Yeah, they're still going to try and score a bunch, and they're going to have to score a bunch because, like I said, their defense is not good. They cannot get stops. They've allowed a lot of points so far this season. So, Darren Fuentes, good luck. I hope you guys can do it. I mean, I wish them the best.
Who are they up against this week?
They play Edinburgh North at Cat Stadium.
That's a good one.
On Friday. So we'll see. I think everyone picked Edinburgh North in that game.
Is that the game you're going to be at?
No.
Okay.
I'm staying inside on Friday.
Right.
I'm staying inside Friday. Now, who knows? We'll see. Now, you mentioned the whole sketchiness about on the PSU North side. There is some sketchiness here on the Vela side to this, is there not?
Right. I think so. Well, okay. So,
I mean, there totally couldn't be. There totally couldn't be. Again, maybe I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I haven't talked to George Olivares. We can't get anyone to talk on the Vela side. But
I doubt that they are going to be able to integrate this player into an offense that's already scoring 1 million points a game.
Right. I don't know what he would play. They've got a quarterback. He's kind of small to play a receiver. Maybe they make him a defensive back.
Right. I just doubt there's any merit. I just don't think anything's going to happen with that.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
I mean, if anything happens, we'll put it up on RGVSports.com or whatnot, and we'll talk about it on the show. But wish George all the best of luck in whatever else he tries to pursue the rest of his high school career, athletically or academically.
Absolutely.
I've talked to him before. Nice guy. He did what he thought he had to do, and Coach Payne did what he thought he had to do. So that's the end of that. So
what else happened noteworthy in this district this week?
Pretty quiet. In terms of the bye, Edinburgh Economies has a bye this week, which is convenient for them because this is the week for their 6-week exams, which is important for their grades, so guys can stay academically eligible to play football. So it's convenient for them. Edinburgh High is coming off a bye. They play Weslaco. Not much really to talk about there.
It's going to be rough.
Panthers are going to probably take care of business there. You mentioned PSU North versus Edinburgh North. I've seen PSU North, who is a small team, play a team that's big and fast like Edinburgh North, and it doesn't end well. I think Edinburgh North handles that one, especially without George Olivares.
Really? I would have thought this one would be kind of... I guess before Olivares, it would have been up in the air.
Yeah.
Is that the big difference? Or?
I think it is, but also it's just like Edinburgh North, they're a big team. Like they have a lot of big guys, and so did Brownsville Vets, and Brownsville Vets made short work of them in the second half. So I've kind of seen PSU North in this matchup before. So I just don't think it favors them, especially with George Olivares gone now. The game I'm covering is tonight, i.e. Thursday.
Right.
It's it's Weslaco East against PSA Memorial at PSA Stadium. I think that's probably the best Thursday game, at least in our coverage area. So, what do you want to know about that game?
Well, you talked to both of the coaches today. Did anybody tell you anything useful in terms of what it takes to beat the other one, or what kind of stuff you have to focus on or take away, or anything along those lines? I know with PSA Memorial, it's mostly been a pass first, pass only attack at this point. Is there anything?
Well, it's been pass first, pass only. One, because that's their strength. They've got Mike Gonzalez, their senior quarterback, and they've got Jay Bocanegra, who leads the district in receiving yards with 500 yards. But they also have to pass a lot because they can't run the ball very well. Mm-hmm. Through the 4 games they've played, they had a rain cancellation. Through the 4 games they've played, they've only run for 355 yards, which is by far and away the lowest in the district. They cannot run the football. They're really one-dimensional in that aspect. And I had a chance to talk to Coach Pena of Econ, who they beat last week. Econ beat PSA Memorial. I asked, defensively, how do you go up for a team like Memorial? I mean, what team that can't run the ball that well? Do you just totally hone in on their passing games?
Right.
Like, yeah, you just frustrate their quarterback, and it really flusters that whole offense because that's their offense. So that's going to be what I'm going to be looking for if, Weslaco East is just going to have their ears pinned back from the get-go and just go after Mike Gonzalez.
Do they have the defensive pieces to do that?
I don't know. I don't know now because last week they played Edinburgh North, another team that they're a bit more balanced they're a lot more balanced than PSA Memorial, but they still can throw the ball. They've thrown the ball for about 760 yards so far this season.
And that district gets rid that anybody can throw the ball, so getting a test like that.
Right. Now Edinburgh North threw the ball. They threw the ball pretty well, and it was 38-34, so it was close. Now Weslaco East got a late interception to seal the win there, but their defensive backs had trouble on occasion stopping the pass there. So I'm going to be curious to see how that works out. I give Weslaco East the benefit of the doubt because they have a better track record and their offense is so much more varied now that they've got Richard Lefebvre there. And I know I keep mentioning him, but he's such a huge piece for them. He's such a huge piece for them. You covered Weslaco East last year. All of last year they ran for 295 yards in their whole regular season.
Passing? Yeah.
Yeah, passing yards, excuse me. They passed for 200 yards all season
Something
long.
like that, yeah. There was I think they went 4 games without
Right. They're on pace to, this season, they're on pace to throw for about 800, 900. I mean,
it's impressive.
They're still a run-heavy team, but I mean, holy crap! I mean,
right.
Yeah, Richard Lefebvre de Cito Rojas, the receiver there, he's just so fast. He gets behind the defense so quickly, and if you're going to load the box and try and stop Emilio, it's going to be Lefebvre de Rojas all day. And PSA Memorial's defense, they're not terrible, but I'm not going to write a PSA Memorial defense feature anytime soon.
Right.
So that they allow like 366 yards a game.
So you feel pretty good about Weslaco East?
I do feel good about Weslaco East. Now, if PSA Memorial's passing game is just lights out and they can stay in it, sure. But again, if Econ can shut you down, I think Weslaco East can shut you down too. So
I think I would agree with you. PSA Memorial has not shown me a ton this year.
And also with PSA Memorial, we talked about their offense. Defensively, they could not get off the field last week against Econ. Econ ran for like 220 plus on them last week. And mentioned,
you're right. They lost to Economides.
And you mentioned Weslaco East. They want to run the ball a ton. They got to go up against Emilio Tamez, who leads this district in rushing yards with about 600 or so.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty heavily Weslaco East favorite game.
Yeah, Weslaco East seems favored. Now again, like I said, there are ways that it could be close. I hope I don't get a blowout game, but we'll see. I haven't seen PSA Memorial play. I'm really intrigued to see what they can do, especially against a team like Weslaco East.
Looking at this now, Economides beating PSA Memorial last week is a big win for the new playoff.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge for Econ. That game could go a long way in determining who gets a playoff spot. Certainly.
Because
I'm totally in on Econ's defense, and their running game is woken up. They're kind of like Weslaco High's mini-me. It's like It's the same kind of style, just like not quite the same level of players, but their defense has really impressed me these last 3 games. And their running game has woken up. They got Chris Izaguirre, their leading rusher. He's back from an injury suffered during week 1. As long as he stays healthy, their defense keeps shutting people down. Yeah, that's a playoff team.
If we're leaning towards counting out PSA North, we're leaning towards counting out Edinburgh High, and they've already beaten PSA Memorial, then they're in, right?
Pretty much.
So I mean, we have to you have to be sure that PSA North isn't going to be just fine without Olivares, but if that's true, then Economides would be in line for a playoff spot.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy for me.
Yeah, that goes back to what I said at the beginning of the season with this district. I'm like, if something else happens to another team, I think Econ, like in a vacuum, if everyone stayed healthy, no players quit, Econ probably is on the outside looking in. But if something drastic happens, I could absolutely see.
I thought you were being too nice to everybody, but now I see it.
I see it. Like I said, as long as Econ's defense stays playing at the level they've been playing at, and the running game stays woken up like it has the last couple of weeks. Sure, absolutely, they're a playoff team.
Man,
I'm not backing down from that, man.
No, I think you're right.
I know my district.
Right. You really do. I think we have to make our locks of the week. That's one thing we yell.
Who is your lock of the week? Real quick, before we get to lock of the week, I hope Rio Grande City is listening to this because yesterday on the show, 31-5A reporter
Stupid Mario
Aguirre chose Sherilyn Pioneer as his lock of the week. Well, not so fast. He's already chose Sherilyn Pioneer as his lock of the week, and that's the rule. You can't repeat teams.
Only Mario.
So, Mario's new lock of the week is now Mercedes over Donna North. Dennis has made his pick yesterday. He's taking Weslaco East over PSA Memorial as his lock of the week, which shocked me because him and Mike Odibe, they're broskies.
They're like best friends.
They're best friends, JK. But I know that he has a great deal amount of respect.
He's covered him in the past.
So, Greg, lock of the week.
Donna High against Brownsville Pace.
Okay,
I like Donna High.
I chose Donna High last week, and you tried to question me, and then they won by like 60 million points.
Yeah, I was way wrong. So, I think I liked Donna High a lot coming into the year, and then they lost a couple games, and I was like, "What the heck, Donna High?" And now I'm back. At least confident that they could, probably top 2 in the district easily.
Yeah, and especially if Marco Aguinaldo doesn't come back from NCAP Chelsea, then I think Donna can run the table here.
Easily top. They would be top 1 in the district.
Yep. Numero uno, senor.
So that's that's a team that I like, and I'm looking to keep my undefeated lock of the week streak.
You and Mario are the only people left undefeated. I got burned I got burned when I went against Rio Grande City in week 3. I picked Palmview to win. That did not end well for me.
I am going to have to launch some sort of protest if Rio Grande City beats Pioneer this week. Because in theory, Mario would then have lost. And I would be the last one remaining.
Well, hey, I almost want to pick... I don't think Pioneer Rio Grande City is a lock for either team. I want to pick Rio Grande City just to spite Mario. More people are high on the Rio Grande City.
Yeah, I don't see why...
There's a bunch of people on the Pioneer bandwagon. I think there's only 2 people that picked Rio Grande City. You picked Pioneer, didn't you?
Probably.
I'm picking Rio Grande City because I know that, again, I've said this so many times. I know that Pioneer is improved in a second-year program. I get that. They're undefeated. But they haven't really played anyone up to like a certain caliber that I don't know.
Mario says, "Calm down."
I'm calm. I'm totally calm. Pioneer has played. They beat Hidalgo. They beat La Feria. They did beat Corpus Christi King, which is legit. I'll totally give them that. Anytime a Valley team beats a non-Valley team, props.
Right.
But I just.
Well, here's the
thing that really concerns me is like 6-4 against Valley View.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
I don't know. I think Rio Grande City's going to beat Pioneer. I'm not making it my lock of the week. But.
Here's the thing. I brought this up in the office today. I don't think you were here yet at this point. But when Rio Grande City or Roma is involved, I think a lot more about home and away than when it's other districts where the teams don't travel that far.
Right.
So for Rio Grande City to have to go to Sharyland Pioneer, I just think that's decently inconvenient. I think that actually does make a difference in terms of home field advantage or whatever. And I would feel the same way. I think if Sharyland Pioneer was going out there, I might pick Rio Grande City. But I'm going to give a little home field advantage in this one. And I don't know if it's I just think that travel has to be uncomfortable compared to...
Sure, there's something to that. I mean, there's a reason why it's called home field advantage.
Right.
So, I mean, across all sports, the home team wins about 65% of the time, something like that.
So again, I don't worry about it when it's even like a Wexico, Edinburgh. You know what I mean? Because that's close enough.
Right.
But this distance, this is 2 or 3 times as far of a trip for them.
I understand.
That could cumulatively matter.
My lock of the week, I'm going to keep it. The first 3 weeks, I played with fire and I eventually got burned. Now I'm going super safe. I'm 4-1 here. Week 6, lock of the week. I'm taking Weslaco over Edinburgh. I think they take care of business. That's pretty.
That's good.
That's pretty self-explanatory. So here are our lock of the weeks. Again, I just picked Weslaco over Edinburgh High. Greg, you just picked Donna over Pace. Dennis, as I said, picked Weslaco East over PHA Memorial. Mario's taken the Mercedes Tigers over Donna North.
I think we're all looking pretty safe this week.
Yeah, we're all looking pretty safe.
Usually somebody makes a bad pick.
Yeah, once district play rolls around, you kind of have an idea of who some of like the fringe teams, if they're legit or not.
Yeah,
so.
I would agree with that.
I still have some cake left, and you actually ate all yours.
I tore through this.
You tore through that cake.
And it was my second piece. I was going to not have more. I got to watch my figure, you know what I'm saying? But, you brought it in here, and I was like, all right, it's on.
You're a handsome guy, Greg. You can walk on the beach with a swagger like you've never had before.
Well, thanks, bro.
Although, don't go to the beach right now because there's the whole red tide thing, and there's, dead fishes everywhere.
Oh, good advice.
Yeah, don't do that.
PSA to all the podcast listeners in Periscope.
And you know what dead fish bring? Sharks. So
Shark Attack, Sharknado.
Well, during Shark Week over the summer, they had a segment. It was there's a college in Corpus Christi. I think it's Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
That would make sense.
They have a marine biology school there, and there was a couple years ago. There was a huge uptick in shark attacks, or at least in sharks in general, in the waters around Corpus Christi. They wanted to know why. It turns out it was red tide because red tide kills all the fish. Fish start decaying. It spits off the smell that attracts sharks.
Some research on this. So can you explain to me why the fish are dying?
It's like a red tide. It's like an algae, and it has like a certain bacteria that's like that's toxic or poisonous to marine life. Like
Where does
fish.
it come from?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the exact. I'm a sports reporter, not a marine biologist.
It sounds like a plot for Finding Nemo.
And it's not good for humans either. On the TV today, there was some guy at the beach, and there was no one there because, if it gets on your skin, it can irritate you, and if it gets in your eyes and your mouth, it's not good for you. It won't kill you, but it won't make you. It'll make you uncomfortable.
The more you know.
Yeah.
So everybody this week, go watch some football.
Don't go anywhere near the beach.
To the beach, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
If there's a game at Port Isabel, you got to be careful. Every other stadium, I think you should be all right.
Can we say that Edinburgh Vella and McAllen Memorial are the red tide of the valley?
Wow, I kind of like that. Interesting.
Roll Tide.
But hey, we'll find out this week because Edinburgh Vella's got that tough game against Roma.
Oh yeah, Vella, Roma, Mission Bet, Sharyland. There's all kinds of good games. With that, I think we got a podcast.
I think we absolutely do.
All right then, kids. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching us on the Periscope. If you've done that, or the rebroadcast on the app or on YouTube. Thanks for those of you on the podcast who are listening to this on your smartphone or your tablet or by any other means. We appreciate it as well. You can find us on Facebook at RGVSports.com, and you can find us on Twitter at RGVSports. Again, I just mentioned RGVSports.com there as well. We're on the monitor. We're everywhere. We're currently in your ear holes too. How's that make you feel? Anyways, we'll be back next on Saturday, recapping Week 6. A whole other week of football will be in the books.
Absolutely.
Where can people find you on Twitter?
I'm at Greg Luca.
At Greg Luca. That's simple. And if you follow at Greg Luca, you'll get live updates from the Mission High Palmview game. And if you want to follow me, I'm at John Fillet. What's she order?
John Fillet.
If you want updates from PHA Memorial, Weslaco East, and other 31 6A teams, come join the dark side with me. It'll be fun. We appreciate it. Real quick, we totally didn't mention 32 6A teams. We totally forgot about them.
Oops.
Brownsville Veterans plays Rivera.
Oh, you know what's funny is they have some good games.
Brownsville Veterans plays Rivera. Who you got?
Brownsville Vets I like.
We got Brownsville Lopez, Harlingen South.
Harlingen South.
What else do we got? I'm looking.
You got two good ones. You got two really good ones. I'll let you.
Oh, San Benito Los Fresnos.
I think that's going to be quite the game.
That's going to be good too. I'm taking Los Fresnos.
I am as well but the San Benito offense, man, I still like them. I'll be interested to see how that plays out.
And then you got Harlingen High versus Hannah. Both these teams are good too, but I got to go Harlingen.
Likewise, I think Hannah's been sort of fringy top 10.
Fringy top 10s. They've gotten some votes. They could be a playoff team in that district.
I think Harlingen High will take care of business against those folks.
Yeah, didn't mean to totally forget about 32 6A. Yeah, they got some.
No, they got the special post Twitter plug spot.
That is the best district by far and away in the valley.
Right.
So good. Yeah, we had to touch on them. So go Falcons, I guess.
We will most definitely be talking about that on the recap show when we actually have some idea what we're talking about.
Right. We're absolutely going to touch on those shows. So this is the official end. I'm not going to rehash everything. We'll see you on Saturday, folks. Thank you so much.
The Periscope users want some score predictions for those games.
Score predictions. Los Fresnos San Benito. What are they average in terms of points? Los Fresnos has 147. San Benito has 188.
I think it becomes a shootout because I just think San Benito's offense forces them into a shootout.
Yeah, I think it becomes a shootout too. Although Los Fresnos has only allowed 40 points this year.
I'll say that like 42-32 Los Fresnos.
Ooh, I'm gonna say 42. I'm gonna say 42-31 Los Fresnos.
Well, that's almost the exact same.
42-31.
And then for Harlingen and Hannah, I would probably say, I just think maybe Harlingen gives them the Mackay treatment in this one, like 42-18, something like that.
I'm going to say Harlingen takes it. Yeah, I'm going to say 42-21.
Mario wants 48-35.
There you go. Yeah, Los Fresnos and Harlingen. I wish those teams were in our coverage area, man.
This game should be. Those two games.
Those two games are good. Those two games are really.
They're
really
better
good.
than. I mean, the 31 5A games are compelling. Manny Hinojosa with like 45-34. So I think we're all in the same kind of ballpark there.
Yeah.
The 31 5A games are pretty compelling. All three of them. We Rio Grande City and Pioneer is interesting to see. That's kind of an elimination game, as it were. Just one of those teams, whoever loses is going to be in a really rough spot the rest of the way. Bella and Rome was our game of the week with the two unbeatens, and then Mission Vets and Sherryland are two should-be playoff teams. And
that's going to be fun.
How good Sherryland looked last week. But then outside of those three, I think the best games in the Valley are those two we just talked about. Those are the two that I would have my eye on as just sort of a general fan perspective. I mean, because again, those teams are both so good.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Oh, well, we didn't talk about Monte Alto Marine Military Academy. Teasing. We're not going to talk about those teams.
All of those schools have only M's and A's at the start of their names. Hashtag RGV Sports.
Hashtag hot take. Man, that PSU North news. It's crazy.
I know it is. I would never, the in-season transfers and stuff, like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What are you doing, kid?
I don't know.
How about St. Joseph? Yes, great question. Who is St. Joseph playing this
How
week?
about St. Joseph? I don't know. Who are they playing? Are they? I don't see them on the
They
schedule.
might have a bye week. I gotta check my
I think they have a bye week. Yeah, they're not on the schedule.
And our schedule is unimpeachable. Max Preps.
Brownsville St. Joe.
Schedule.
What are they? 4-1.
Look at this dog. Look at that. They next play San Antonio Christian on the 9th.
On the 9th.
So they have
Yeah,
a week
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Lucky St. Joe.
Lucky.
Really, look at this though. It's just like a full-on. This is not even a logo. This is just a picture of a dog.
I mean, they're a private school. They should have the funds to go out and do that stuff.
You think they have like an actual dog, like the Rev at Texas A&M?
God, I hope not. That poor dog.
You think?
What's worse was like the LSU Tiger. They had like a pet tiger. That's terrible.
Okay, that's weird. But you don't think that dog lives the life?
Not at the high school level.
Okay, no, but I mean...
Halloween party for the people.
Yo, you canceled it today.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Maybe reschedule it. I don't know. My calendar is really busy this month, so.
Understandable. But no, dude, Rev, like the college dog has the life.
Yeah, in college. Yeah. And plus, I know there's Blue at Butler, the bulldog. Does UConn? You're from Connecticut. Does UConn
Yeah,
have an
Jonathan the
actual-
Husky.
Jonathan.
Okay, I don't support that either.
Jonathan?
Right.
What a
stupid name, right?
Like, is that always its name? Is it like, are you serious? It's an actual husky. Its name is Jonathan? Why is
so
it
mad?
Why is it named? Because
it's like, here's number 8.
Jonathan 8. Why is it named Jonathan?
You're so mad about that.
Because it's a stupid name for a mascot.
Hold on, I'm Wikipedia right now. I'll figure it out.
Why is it named Jonathan?
The alumnus had announced a national Name the Mascot contest, and Jonathan was the winning entry.
That's terrible.
It's one thing if you just picked it. How is that ever the winning entry?
That's terrible. Jonathan? Like, my name is not John, it's Jon. It's not, I mean, my name is John, it's not Jonathan, it's just Jon, but it's not Jonathan. And I have nothing against Jonathans, it's just, that's a terrible name for a sports mascot.
It's pretty lame.
Who gets hyped for, it's like, that's so Connecticut, it's so white bread.
It's so Connecticut.
Oh, yes, let us go enjoy our Husky football and cheer on Jonathan and the Huskies, oh, yes.
Listen.
Like, who cares? Oh, it's terrible.
Okay, hold on. So, it's apparently in honor of Jonathan Trumbull, the last colonial and first state governor of Connecticut.
That's still stupid.
Yeah.
So you named it after some like boring old white guy that probably owned slaves.
But yo, look at this. Look at this. Look at the mascot.
That is terrible.
Yeah, actually,
Jonathan the Husky.
Actually, the mascot is so bad. Hold on. Yukon mascot. Like the costume looks so ridiculous.
Jonathan the Husky.
They just like
they took.
Oh, it looks.
They
so
took
bad.
a husky, which is like the least intimidating.
Look how bad this looks.
It looks terrible. No. They took a husky, which is like the least ferocious dog. Like if I could if I could name like the 5 least ferocious dog breeds, like husky's up there. And then you give it like a white bread name like Jonathan. Again, no disrespect to Jonathans, but like I'm not afraid of someone named Jonathan. Secondly, you name it after some dude who's just like some insignificant.
Look at this, the wrist is just popping out of the costume.
You name it after some insignificant like historical guy who like probably wasn't a good guy. Like did he own slaves? Look at that.